Hey, my name's Tom, and about half a year ago, I quit my job back home in Germany. I left everything I had behind to go on a 5 months adventure across 7 countries, and this is my story. In the last episode, I enjoyed some great days on Cat Ba Island, doing an insanely good Lan Ha Bay boat tour before checking out several different caves in the Cat Ba National Park. After 2 days, I hopped on a bus to Ninh Binh, where I floated through some caves on the famous Trang An riverboat tour and climbed the Mua Cave viewpoint in Tam Kok, where unfortunately I lost my drone. After checking out the ancient first capital of Vietnam for a short while, it was time to get on an 8-hour sleeper bus all the way to Phong Nha. Welcome to Phong Nha. So I arrived to Phong Nha yesterday or last night around 4 a.m. after an 8 hours bus ride. So first thing I did this morning was renting a scooter, and now I'm on the way to Phong Nha Botanic Gardens. So you can do plenty of tours that get you to the caves and to the Botanic Garden and whatever. But then they are quite expensive, in like $70 plus. And then you do the tours and they are nice, but you can do most of the things actually by your own or on your own. And this is what I want to do. Once arrived at the Botanic Garden, I quickly had a look into the display house, which was at the park entrance. What I witnessed was rather disturbing, as the preserved animals displayed there were seemingly not dealing well with the Vietnamese heat and humidity levels. Alright, after having done the display house, that was rather a bit of a freak show, to be honest. That was interesting. I'm on my way to do the Botanical Garden loop, and it's actually really long. Yeah, so the shortest way really through the Botanical Garden is 40 minutes, but then you skip basically all of the landmarks and viewpoints that you could potentially see. So yeah, I'm not sure, but the longest way is 3 hours. I didn't really anticipate that there was a walk that is 3 hours, but yeah, we'll just do our way, I guess. I started my walk through the park, but the 40-degree heat quickly got unbearable, and I decided to cut the walk short, as I was actually worried to suffer a heat stroke if I would go on. Instead, I jumped on my scooter and drove to Paradise Cave. The Phong Nha area is actually known for having incredibly large cave systems all around, with one of them, the Song Dong Cave, actually being the largest cave known to mankind yet. I heard mixed reviews about Paradise Cave, from being incredible to being underwhelming, so I was keen to experience this tourist attraction myself. And I should not be disappointed. I cannot really understand how people can say that this is underwhelming in a way, because if you just look around, it is crazy, like the sheer size of this. This is like a bazillion ballrooms, this is like a stadium. Yeah, and this all has been created by Earth in 300 million years. Pretty astounding. So I just sat down here on one of the platforms to basically just, relax for a bit and just take this all in. And the good thing is, even though the cave is well visited, there's a couple of people here. Because it's so big, you never feel that you're like in a crowded place, because the people are like 100 meters down there or 100 meters up there. And I just sit here on my own and there's no one around. That is incredible.
My last day in Phong Nha was one of those weird days where my own indecisiveness and a few more external factors led to me just driving around for half a day, not really doing anything, before I finally called it a day and just sat by the hostel pool waiting on my bus to Hue.
So, welcome to Hue City, the old emperor city, the former capital of Vietnam, and I'll have about one and a half days, more like 1 day here. I arrived yesterday, and today is all about checking out old tombs, temples, just like the one right behind me, which is the tomb of Emperor Khai Dinh. Yeah, things are a bit turbulent these days. So I have this whole visa thing going on because I've messed up my visa application. So I got into the country on a 15-day free visa, and that is actually expiring tomorrow. And I was debating with myself all of the options that you can basically do. You can just like rock up at the airport, pay the fine, but then risk that your passport is getting blacklisted or marked or anything that makes it harder to get to Vietnam a second time. So this morning I was chatting to the guy from my hostel. I was telling him my situation, and he was like, yeah, just do a border run, just go up to Laos, it's super easy. So what essentially will happen tomorrow, I hope so, is I get on the bus to Laos at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then drive 3 hours to the border of Laos, and then do the border run, which means you get out of the country of Vietnam, you cross the border to Laos, you pay $45 for the Laos visa on arrival, you get the visa on arrival, and really just after you enter the country of Laos, you can turn back, get your exit stamp for the country of Laos, and then get another free 15-day visa for Vietnam. And that will be just the amount of time that I need, because I have 7 days here left. But today, yeah, is checking out tombs and temples. So enough talking. Let's check out the tomb of Emperor Khai Dinh. So there's definitely some things to notice about this place. So the whole tomb is like an incredibly lavish place. Like, it's huge. It features a variety of different architecture styles. So it has some French influences, and also it has some classical Vietnamese influences. It was built by the emperor itself, so it was not built after his death. And in order to build this, because it was so expensive, they raised taxes by 30%. So I'm pretty sure that didn't help his popularity amongst the people.
The entire complex, which was announced a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the 1990s, is vast, and I could have easily spent more time there, but since I was on a tight schedule, I drove back to Hue to visit yet another popular spot. Although, this is definitely not gonna be UNESCO World Heritage Site anytime soon. The abundant water park of Hue became quite a popular spot for travelers and lost place seekers. For this little adventure I teamed up with Lauren and Sol, 2 Germans who I met on Cat Bar and who I bumped into a few times already since we were on the same itinerary. And who funnily are living in my German hometown of Wuppertal.
Actually, I think on the highest level you can go. It's like a crazy structure. It looks like a huge dragon. Yeah, it's incredible. And I can imagine that it was a really cool place when it was just finished. By now it's a bit rocked down, of course, because it's just like a ruin. But yeah, really cool. So I'm actually just sitting in the mouth of, or standing in the mouth of a dragon. Yeah, that is really cool.
There are many spooky stories why the water park was abandoned after operating only for a few years. But essentially it was just too lavish and expensive for Hue citizens, so it had to close its gates for a lack of customers about 4 years after its initial opening. I went back to some more ancient history by visiting the former Imperial city.
So, I actually made it. This is the Imperial city of Hue. And when they built this, they actually took the Forbidden City of Beijing as a kind of a role model, and they've just constructed it after the pattern that the Forbidden City was constructed. And so what you would see is it actually has a huge kind of 4 kind of structure around. And then this is the entryway, and this would actually get you into the Imperial Palace area.
The Imperial City Complex is simply massive, with a 2x2 kilometer long wall surrounding the inner city, with several imposing entrance gates along the massive rampart.
So they started constructing the Imperial City of Hue in 1804. And it took them a couple of years, actually I think 20 years or something, to finally finish the construction. And looking by just what they have here and all the photos that they have like dotted on the wall, this place must have looked amazing. But then unfortunately
it fell victim to several bombings during the Indo-China Wars over several decades. The city was destroyed significantly.
In the way that basically everything was destroyed apart from a couple of temples. About 4 temples survived the bombing during the Vietnam War. In 2015, I think, they started like a very comprehensive restoration, and that they try to recover most of the temples and restore most of the temples, whatever they can. But yeah, just looking from what is still there, it's hard to comprehend how big this whole like complex must have been, and how colorful and how beautiful and just like stunning this whole place must have been. And they have all these photos on the wall, and it's far too many to like, you know, film all of the photos. But yeah, it's like the place was just like scattered with temples and gates and pagodas and everything.
I kept on exploring the complex until I was simply too tired to do anything more, so I went back to my hostel and prepared for my border run the next day. From Hue, I took a bus that drove me about 3 hours to the Lao Bao border crossing. With my backpack and everything still in Hue, I was super anxious about all of this not going to plan, fearing I would get stranded in Laos with nothing but my day pack.
Not sure actually how much I'm allowed to film here. I just got through, I think, the border guard of Vietnam, and then right next to me, or right in front of me, is I think the border control, and now yeah, it's just about getting through to Laos, getting the visa on arrival in Laos, and then get right back in to get another 15-day free visa in Vietnam. Yeah, I'll just hope it fucking works and I stop filming now, because not sure, but there's a whole bunch of Westerners here, and it seems they all did the visa run. There's like a whole group of 10 people just behind me. Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. See you on the other side maybe. So yeah, just did a trip to Laos for exactly 10 minutes and then came back. All in all, it took an hour. It was relatively straightforward. The only problem is that no one really speaks English. So yeah, you just have to go and try to see whether you get it. And then like countless times I had to, I don't know, pay small amounts of money and stuff, but now eventually got my new visa.
Once I got back to Hue, I decided to do the next leg to Hoi An on a bike via the famous Hoi An Pass rather than on a bus. So I rented another scooter and started driving south out of Hue with my day pack only and my main backpack being shipped to Hoi An as a service.
Alright, so second day of the Hoi An Pass. Today I'm actually going to drive the Hoi An Pass. First task of the day is finding breakfast, because I think they don't have a breakfast service here. I'll have to ask them. And then yeah, getting on the Hoi An Pass and actually stopping by in Da Nang, because in Da Nang they have a DJI shop. And I'm playing with the thought of buying myself a new drone, because I really want to have a new drone and get all the footage in, especially now for the Thailand leg, because Thailand is beautiful. Alright, so first fail of the day already there. I looked up this cafe on Google to get some breakfast, drove about 15 minutes here. It's actually the opposite direction to where I need to go. And then I got to an entrance gate, and seems the cafe is in like a private secluded area with the golf club and stuff. And they were like, do you have a booking? And I said, no. And apparently I don't look too much like someone who's rich enough to play golf here. So they didn't let me in because it's private. So now I need to find some other place, maybe just like find a Bami place along the road or something, I don't know. But yeah, at least it's a beautiful day, and it's the best time, I guess, to enjoy the ride and the scenery.
I headed further south towards the Hoi An Pass, which itself is only about 20 kilometers long. The rest of the 120 kilometers distance is mostly highways and B roads. In Lang Ko, I passed by several abandoned resorts, later reading up that Lang Ko and Da Nang had prospects to become huge tourist destinations, but all resorts were abandoned for several reasons during or shortly after the building process, leaving a stretch of several kilometers scattered with abandoned villas and hotels. Finally, I got to the start of the Hoi An Pass with increasing altitude levels and more corners. At my first stop, I fell victim to a common money scam with an old man luring me into giving him banknotes for his money collection.
Bulgaria, Serbia, you know Serbia? Serbia.
Guess. Oh yeah, Serbia. Yeah.
Dubai, you know Dubai, huh?
Yes, I know.
I
Yeah.
can there.
Oh yeah.
You on my ticket. Gem.
The Hoi An Pass became famous after the BBC series Top Gear had a Vietnam special on which the three presenters of Top Gear, Jeremy, James and Richard, are driving the Hoi An Pass with their scooters.
It's called the Hoi An Pass, and in this place, I had an epiphany.
I'm liking this.
I went further up the pass road, enjoying some great corners, great weather and a quick coffee and ice cream break at a cute little cafe, before starting probably the most scenic part of the Hoi An Pass, the descent down to Da Nang. It is a great stretch of road and it offers amazing views, a well-maintained curvy road and apparently nice beaches too. It's not like the Hajang Loop, but I still highly recommend to skip the bus from Hue to Hoi An or vice versa and rent a bike instead. You'll not regret that, and since it's still Vietnam, you'll have plenty of sleeper bus experience anyways.
Welcome to Hoi An, arguably the most beautiful city that you could find in Vietnam. I booked myself in for a cooking class.
Temple can be used to worship any god, any device, or even human being.
I'm in Ho Chi Minh City in my hotel room.
And chili and pepper. It's a big problem with enemies. And after that, Vietcong, what did they do?